G'day, I'm Paul. So this is my Ranger Raptor. I normally run 98 RON. Well, actually, I've only ever run 98 RON premium unleaded through this, but I was interested. This is actually capable of running 91 and 95. I want to know whether there is a performance disadvantage, because in theory there should be, and if so, how much it is. So today we're going to do some tests to find out exactly how much performance you lose or you gain, depending on which fuel you go for. This video is part of a series that is being funded by AMPOL, which is why you're going to see the promotional tag on there. If you do want to skip ahead to other parts of this video, you can use the time codes on the screen, or if you're on YouTube, you can scroll down and use the chapters below. And if you haven't done so already, subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon. But let's get started. Now, let me explain what we're going to be doing today. I'm going to put 3 sets of fuel through the car and then repeat a set of performance tests. I'm going to go 91, which is your regular unleaded fuel. That's 91 RON. In the States, there's a different measurement system, so that is the equivalent of 87, even though there is different sulfur contents there. But just for the basis of comparison, it is the entry-level fuel here in Australia. We're then going to step up to 95 and 98. So that is AMPOL's premium Amplify fuels. I'm going to feed that through the car. According to AMPOL, their Amplify premium fuels have an additive that helps remove carbon deposits from the tips and the insides of injectors. So looking forward to cleaning my engine there. Then we're going to be doing some performance tests. So it'll be quarter mile, which will include a 0 to 100 and an 80 to 120 time. Then what we're also going to do is 3 laps of our ride and handling track for a bit of a subjective assessment to see exactly what it feels like behind the wheel. And before we get started, I want to quickly explain RON and what all of that stuff means. Okay, so I'm going to put my engineering hat on for a second. Sorry if this bores you, feel free to skip ahead if you want to. Also, I can't believe there's no gas strut here, but anyway. Now, I'm going to assume that most of you know how an internal combustion engine works. If you don't know, or if you want a bit of a refresher, click up here to watch a video that we shot before that explains it. When you do feed fuel into an engine like this, the fuel has a rating, and that rating is called a RON rating here in Australia. It's called something different overseas, but in essence, it is a rating that dictates how much tolerance the fuel has to compression. These modern engines have what's called a knock sensor, so that's always listening out for knock within the engine, or pinging as it's also known. The second it determines that there is knock there, it dials back the ignition timing ever so slightly. So it gives you that optimum balance between power and economy as well. And in theory, when you do feed an engine like this with a premium 95 or 98 RON unleaded fuel, you are going to give it an ability to have greater compression within the chamber, and that should mean more power and torque. Now, there are some caveats to this though, and I want to explain that while this engine is capable of running on 91, 95 and 98 RON unleaded fuel, some engines have a minimum 95 or 98 RON requirement. If your engine does have that, you can never run it with less fuel rating. So you can't run 91 in a 95 because you're going to create knock and it can cause problems within the engine. And in addition to that, if your engine is capable of 91, you can absolutely run it with a higher rating. There won't be any detrimental effects there. And the final point I'll make as well, there is no point putting 95 or 98 RON unleaded fuel into your engine if it doesn't have any of these advanced sensors that are able to adjust the engine's timing to take advantage of that fuel, because it just won't know what to do and you'll just be totally wasting your money. So let's saddle up and start our performance testing with 98, which I've been running in my car. And we'll go see what the numbers look like. Okay, so time to kick off our performance testing. So just to recap as well, I currently have AMPOL Amplify Premium 98 in the car right now. We've filled it up to just under a quarter of a tank. So it is the fuel that I sort of typically use. So the car is sort of primed to use it. We're going to do our quarter mile run, and then from that we'll extract a 0 to 100 time, 80 to 120 time, and also a quarter mile time. I'm going to run this in sport mode and then leave it in 4A. And yeah, we'll have a look at the numbers at the end and then start comparing it to our other fuels. Okay, everything is on and ready, so here we go. Still love the sound of my car. Nice, all right. Nice and strong off the line there. Kind of such a beast, pulling along really nicely. Okay, so let's have a look at our numbers here. We have a 0 to 100 time of 5.72 seconds, 80 to 120 time of 3.65 seconds, and a quarter mile time of 14.01 seconds. So that is laying the benchmark for our numbers. I'll head out now and just do 3 laps of the ride and handling track as a subjective thing, and then we'll start feeding this with some other fuels. Okay, so let's head out onto the ride and handling track. So typically what I would do is 3 laps here, because the first lap is just a bit of a sightseeing lap, and then it's a faster lap and another faster lap, and then we come back in. But it just gives us a really good idea of how the car performs, and we do all the cars the same way, sort of back to back. So it's just a really good indication of what the performance level is like on a sort of faster track like this. And one of the things I love about the Ranger Raptor is that when it is dry, it is actually so much fun around here. It's fairly predictable in terms of how it all works. The suspension is nice and soft. It gives you the latitude that you need to sort of tip it in and get it to lean on its tyres, and then you can sort of just feed in the throttle. Especially here in the 4A mode, it just offers a lot of traction for such a big vehicle. And then on the back straight, you can just feed it in full throttle and make it sing. So yeah, it is unreal. And look, with 98 in here, this feels exactly how I've sort of had it feel previously, and it's the way that I know it. So I'll be really interested to see what it's like when we start putting in worse quality fuels in here, because ultimately, if you do want to save money, you're going to reduce the cost on your fuel, but does it come at a performance sacrifice? So that is what we're going to find out. But yeah, this thing still puts a really big smile on my face. So I'm going to do another 2 laps here. We'll start getting the fuel level down a bit, and then we'll put some other fuels in and see how it all goes. Alrighty, that is our 3 laps done. I too would have thought something this size could be so interesting and fun to drive. I'm going to run onto the bowl now and just do some longer distance laps just to get the fuel level down. We'll head over to the servo and pop some 91 RON unleaded in. Okay, so we've just filled up with regular 91 RON unleaded fuel. So this is the cheapest stuff you can buy, and if you drive a car like this where it's capable of running 91, it is the most cost-effective way to operate your car. But what are the performance differences? Well, let's have a look. So the drive from the servo to here should be enough. It's like 15 kilometers for the car to know that it's now running on 91, and it should be enough for us to figure out exactly what the performance difference is. So here we go. It doesn't feel as punchy. I'll be interested to see these actual numbers. It's still loud, which is good. But it doesn't feel as punchy. Okay, yeah, see, we didn't actually grab the next gear there, which we did when we had 98 in there. So I'll be interested to see what that number looks like. So that time around, wow, that is a massive difference. 0 to 100, 6.44 seconds, 80 to 120, 4.32 seconds. Quarter mile, 14.53 seconds. So pretty decent difference there in terms of the acceleration figures, which is surprising to me. I didn't actually think it'd be that much of a difference there for 0 to 100. So, all right, let's head over to the ride and handling track and see what it feels like once we get stuck into it. Okay, let's send it around the track and see what it feels like. All right, so yeah, look, it's not as, what am I looking for here? It's not as eager. When we had the 98 in it, it was really sharp on the throttle and it was very edgy in terms of how it went when I really got stuck into it. This time around, it doesn't feel as eager to sort of get up and play, but let's see what it's like here on the back straight when we really get stuck into it. It is actually really interesting to me that there is such a big difference from behind the wheel here. So yeah, even on the back straight here, I'm buried in the throttle. Yeah, that's really interesting. So yeah, you notice it more at that sort of peak performance level. You don't notice it as much when you're light on the throttle, but when you are buried right into the throttle, you do notice it a whole lot more. So it just doesn't feel as eager to sort of get up and move. So yeah, there you go. That is really fascinating. I'll be interested to see if those numbers all stack up as well, and it does show that there is a perceivable difference there between them when it comes to those performance figures. So yeah, see how we go. I'm going to do another couple of laps, and I'm going to head over to the bowl, drain the fuel a bit, and we'll head back to the servo and pop some 95 RON Amplify Premium unleaded in there and see how it goes. Okay, so been back to the AMPOL one more time. This time we have 95 RON, which is AMPOL Amplify Premium Petrol. So this is an in-between between 91 and 98. So you still get the additive that helps clean the injectors and remove those carbon deposits, but it's not quite as combustion resistant as 98 RON. So let's give it a shot, see how we go. It's all in sport mode, 4A. Everything is running. Here we go. Slightly stronger than that last run. Yeah, from the seat of the bum, this stuff is really hard to tell because you don't know whether it's just your mind playing tricks on you or whether it is actually a sort of better run there. So let's have a quick look at our numbers and see what the computer says. 0 to 100, 5.97 seconds, so significantly better than the 91. 80 to 120, 3.82, so better again, and then quarter mile in 14.1. So yeah, that's not a bad effort. So let's head over to the ride and handling track now. Okay, so ride and handling time. Let's see how we go for our last little run around the track here. We'll see what this feels like. Tires are absolutely hating me. Not much I can do about that. All right. It actually feels significantly better than 91. It's only though at the top end of the rev range, and to be honest, even though it didn't feel sort of quite as sharp there in the straight line performance run, it actually feels pretty good out here. So what I'm deducing from this is that certainly it's better than 91, but I'm not feeling a massive difference there between 95 and 98. Actually, yeah, here on the back straight, again, it's not as sharp. Like, it's still sharp, just not quite as sort of razor sharp as it was in 98. But yeah, it is quite fascinating to actually feel the difference when you can test it back to back, which is something that you rarely get a chance to do. But when you do test it back to back, you can feel the difference there between those fuels. So that is quite interesting. All right, let's go back into the chalet, we'll have a look at the results and see exactly how much of a difference there was between 91, 95 and 98. We've got some results. This is really interesting. So 98, I'll run through that first. So like I said in the car, quarter mile, 14.01 seconds, 0 to 100 in 5.72 seconds, and 80 to 120 in 3.65 seconds. So pretty commendable performance figures and about on par with what we've achieved previously when we've tested the Ranger Raptor. It's always been driven with 98 RON. This time around it was with the Amplify Premium 98. Then stepping down to 95, it was a small change, but not as big as I thought it was going to be. So 95 produced a 0 to 100 time of 5.97 seconds, so about 0.2, 0.3 of a second difference there. 80 to 120 was slightly slower as well, about 0.2 of a second difference. And the quarter mile was about 0.1 of a second slower at 14.1 seconds. But have a look at this, 91 RON. So stepping down to the most affordable fuel that I think most people would be using in their cars unless they had a minimum requirement. 0 to 100 time was 6.44 seconds. So that is a huge difference. 80 to 120, 4.32 seconds. So a big difference there as well. And then quarter mile as well, 14.53 seconds. So a huge difference there between those. But the thing to me was that around the track, you really did notice the performance difference when you were hard on the throttle. When you were buzzing around at low speeds, it wasn't really that different, but when you started getting up it, you really felt that performance difference, and it wasn't anywhere near as sharp in 95 or 91 as it was in 98. So I think it shows you that if you are driving a vehicle that has a performance application, or you do want to extract a little bit more performance out of your modern car with the technology under the bonnet that can actually cater for that, it is worth spending that extra money for the 98. So it is more expensive, it is going to save a little bit of fuel, but it isn't going to be enough to cover the cost difference. But if performance is important to you, it shows you that 98 definitely makes a difference, and I'm going to continue using it because I've been using it the whole time. So let me know what you reckon in the comments section below. What do you drive? Have you noticed a difference between 91, 95 and 98? I'm keen to hear what your feedback is. And we have another video coming soon as well using the Hilux GR Sport. So that is related to efficiency when it comes to diesel as well. So keep an eye out for that. When that does go live, I'll leave a link in the description below. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks again to AMPOL for their help putting it all together. If you did like it, please make sure you like it and you share it with your mates. And if you haven't done so already, subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon as well. I'm going to get out of here away from the flies. Until next time, drive safely.